Hello everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about a new MMO that was just announced. This is a game that, let's say 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know about. So it was kind of, I don't want to say it was a surprise announcement, but I think it was a game that was being built a little bit under the radar. So before we get into this, if you don't know, my favorite game of all time is Star Wars Galaxies. To me, that is the best MMO I've ever played, and I could do an entire 2-hour video on why, but we're not going to do that here in this video. Instead, we're going to be talking about this new one that just got announced. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to start with this. Leading up to the announcement of this game on Twitter, they have been releasing these countdowns. So I just kind of want to go through these before we get into like the trailers and Q&A and all that fun stuff. So they started out here with number 10 saying, what if you could easily change your mind about who your character is? And then, what if you could be admired and famous in an MMO for more than just your character level or raid skills? So obviously these are things that are going to be in the game, right? Oh, I should also mention before we go any further, some of the trailers and stuff that I'm about ready to show you is stuff I've seen, some of it I have not seen. But just to get it out of the way, this game is probably 3 to 5 years out. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at, you know, different aspects. But continuing on with this, what if the game also rewarded you for playing peacefully? What if an MMO let you reshape the landscape? No Man's Sky already kind of does that, right? What if you and your friends could govern an entire planet? What if even the devs didn't know what was hidden out there in the world? So that statement right there has some good ideas and some potentially bad ideas behind it. If the devs don't know, that means they're going procedural, which, again, heavy in No Man's Sky. It seems to work for them. But you got to find that nice level between handcrafted and randomly generated. Okay. What if you could actually irrigate your farm? What if there was ways for everyone in the MMO to have their own house? What if you could be swept away by a current of a raging river? WildStar did that, so that's not really new. What if you could freeze the poison gas mid-air and watch it form a puddle? What if it mattered if you accidentally drove a creature extinct or a species extinct? What if you could collapse a cliff onto your enemies? What if you could build a space station? So we'll kind of start with that. They're kind of giving us some ideas of what the potential of this MMO is. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the first video, okay? So here we go.
Hi, my name is Raf Koster, and I've been making online worlds for a long time now. The thing is, people think they know what an MMO is. It's leveling up, it's killing purples, it's DPS counts and instances and all that jargon. It's time-consuming with a zillion HUD elements on screen. It's running through static zones and being the same chosen one as everyone else. We don't think MMOs have to be that way.
So the name of the game is that. I'm not crazy about the name, but we'll see.
Long ago, an incredibly powerful ancient alien civilization terraformed whole arms of the galaxy to create what they called their garden. And they left behind their works, They're robot servitors that to this day follow the orders of their long-vanished masters, and of course the legacy of their genetic engineering, which includes us. A science fantasy setting full of lore and secrets, factions to join, and mysterious artifacts. It's time for trees that grow, for creatures that steal your stuff and take it back to their lairs. If you neglect that alien infestation over there, it might expand and grow towards your house. Every one of our creatures runs AI like The Sims, and they live on thousands of planets because we leverage the power of the cloud to have a single shardless galaxy of worlds, all of them terraformable and with permanence, so what you change is saved. Planets you and your friends can build on and settle. We're in the great tradition of games like Ultima Online, Star Wars Galaxies, RuneScape, Minecraft, and Eve, but we want to look forward, not back. That means players able to choose their own fun, whether it's blasting away at alien monsters, leading a village, exploring strange new worlds, or cornering the market on rocket ships. It means great character customization, not gender-locked classes and limited gear. And above all, it means recognizing that it takes all kinds of players and all sorts of play styles to really make an alternate world. We use skill tree advancement because, let's face it, getting out-leveled by your friends kinda sucks.
So to pause it right there for a second,
should be.
That's how Star Wars Galaxies was. There were no levels in Star Wars Galaxies.
Up to you whether you want to solo a tough critter or gather a group of 50 to take down an alien spider dragon. It should be up to you whether you work on building your house solo or bring together your guild to found a city. And someday your guild might govern that planet, and then you'll be able to decide whether to make it into a roleplay heaven or a wretched hive of scum and villainy. I know, these are big dreams. We've built a lot, but there's more still to do. And it's time to bring you into the process. That's why we want to invite you along on our journey as we reach for the stars. And we'll be showing you things a little more raw and unfinished than you might get to see normally with a game in development. But this game is for you. You should get to help shape it. So, if you want to help us reach the dream of worlds that feel alive and alternate realities to call home, join us on starsreach.com, where we'll be posting design material regularly. Join the Discord, where we'll be hosting regular dev chats, and help us build space for everyone.
Yeah, again, for those people who are just coming into chat, who missed my intro, this game's 3 to 5 years out. And so graphics are not anywhere close to being done. So that was video 1. We're going to go ahead and check out the official announcement trailer. So let's jump into that.
Welcome to the immeasurable universe of Stars Reach, where humanity is venturing forth into the galaxy. Explore infinite new worlds full of hope and of danger. Fight fierce alien creatures. Discover mysterious artifacts. Craft your way to galaxy-wide fame and fortune. All in the most alive game ever made. Planets where water flows, grass grows, where everything is alive. Here, peaceful play matters just as much as combat. Build homesteads on distant worlds. Own a planet and sculpt it to your will. For yourself.
Oh, that's cool. Turn water to
or
ice.
For everyone. Play, build, farm, fight, create, live the way you want. You are being given a galaxy. What will you make of it?
One thing that's interesting in the little bit of gameplay that we've seen is how many different species there are. It kind of reminds me of WildStar quite a bit, which is interesting. All right, and then we're gonna jump into video number 3 on this. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Avi. I'm one of the engineers working on Stars Reach, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
Hey, I'm Light, and I'm a technical designer on Stars Reach.
Hi, I'm Raph. I'm CEO at Playable Worlds, and we're looking forward to answering a bunch of your questions today.
Who are you making this game for?
We're trying to make this game for all sorts of people, right? This is a world. We want each of you to be able to find a way to play, have fun, and live inside this alternate galaxy, because it takes all sorts of people to make an alternate reality.
So I've been a long-time MMO player myself, and one of the trends we've seen in MMOs lately is that you're playing a lot more by yourself these days. It's getting harder and harder to group up. This game is for the people who want an MMO where you are encouraged to play with other people, and you want to form societies and make friends.
People who need a little more hope. In sci-fi, we've gone from bright colors to rusty browns and soulless whites. This game is about reclaiming that starry-eyed optimism for the future.
Can you describe the game for us?
I'd say this game is ambitious. We're trying to really shake the status quo, give players things they've wanted for a long time, and technology has finally caught up to, but a lot of companies are playing it safe for what they know technology will already do. We're trying to push the envelope.
The best way to describe this game would probably be a modern reimagining of Star Wars Galaxies. So imagine all the social systems and the complexities and crafting and stuff, and being able to be not the chosen one, but just another person in this virtual world with inspirations from modern open world RPGs.
It's a living world. It's an alternate galaxy. It's a place that I hope players can make a second online home. And in terms of the storyline, it's a chance for humans to do better, to understand each other's value, and to really create humanity's second chance.
Tell us about activities in the game.
We're trying to offer a pretty broad spread of activities. There should be ways to play if you're a combatant, play if you're a crafter, play if you're a role player. All of these different things all add to the feeling of a world where everybody matters and everybody counts on each other. So we want to have that spread. We want to have the different ways to interact where everyone is valuable.
So we're planning on making a game where the activities are really varied. There is going to be combat, and it's totally optional. You can do building, you can do...
Just kind of pause here for a second. The kind of sort of bounce off of a couple things that they've mentioned. So on their website, they have like even more like Q&A stuff that I've already gone through. And one reason why I'm so interested in this game is I've seen this game described as Star Wars Galaxies 2. But they've already confirmed that they're using a crafting system that's going to be very similar to Star Wars Galaxies. The ability to like build towns again and do that sort of thing. You know, as they said, building communities. And the thing for those in chat or those on YouTube who never played Star Wars Galaxies was a sandbox MMO. It wasn't like you're jumping into SOTOR or World of Warcraft or any of these other games where it's like, oh, I'm starting, like I loaded into the world and now, oh, let's go do this quest and now this quest and this quest and A, B, C, D, D, theme park MMO. That is not how these games are. That's not how Galaxies was. Galaxies was all about, here's the world, go do whatever you want. There were some like super basic quests. You could do those if you wanted to, but it was all about you creating your own adventure. And I think this game is getting back to that sort of mindset. But yeah, it's like you're able to like run your own shop. You can own your own buildings. Like, again, everything that Galaxies did, this game is essentially doing, but hopefully better. Galaxies did not have the terraforming, which, you know, they're obviously borrowing that from like No Man's Sky as an example. So that's really interesting.
Do mining, farming. You can lead your guild to make an entire town. There's going to be a lot of exploration. And as we go, we're going to be adding more and more unique and different things like making music. And we want all of these things to have...
You could do music in Galaxies.
...a role in the overall economy of the world.
One of the things I love about this game is there's lots of options from a wide variety. You have all the things you'd expect in a sandbox, your combat, your crafting, your harvesting, your farming. But we are also doing a lot of jobs for like governor, new...
Galaxies had governors, city governors. The other thing to remember about Galaxies is the economy was 100% player driven. So there was no, oh, I'm going to go farm this dungeon for the best blaster. Like, that was not a thing.
News reporter, xenobiologist, a lot of entertainment professions, things that you don't typically see in your survival sandbox grind or your combat MMO.
What parts of this game can be customized, like the player character, tools, equipment?
We're hoping to be able to customize pretty much everything, from your character to your home to even the terrain you build your towns on. It really is up to you.
And of course, ultimately, we're giving players control over a planet. You can customize a world. I'm not sure we can get more customizable than that with what we've got today.
How hardcore or difficult is this game?
You should be able to jump in and have fun in 5 minutes. Like, that's one end of the spectrum. On the other hand, if you want to carefully, tweak each piece of furniture in your house for 5 hours, we're certainly going to let you do that. And if you want to delve deep into an underground alien laboratory and fight the toughest things in the game and really kind of play at that hardcore level, we'll let you do that too. We want everybody to find their own way to play at the level that suits them.
The controls of the game and the initial concepts to get into it are pretty easy. It's going to play like many open world RPGs in an MMO setting, but the challenges you want to take are going to be up to you.
I feel like that's a weird thing to show, but okay.
So do you want to go out and explore the wilderness and fight tough enemies? Do you want to stay in your town and just farm all day? That's fine too. Or do you want to take on the really, really difficult task of making a coordinated galactic syndicate that's hard in what you have to do, but not really that hard in terms of the execution of controls or gameplay?
That depends on what you want. If you are that raiding player who has their group of friends who want tightly coordinated combat against tough enemies, that exists in this game. If you never want to touch a blaster and you just want to start your little farm, that also exists. And the best part is, both are necessary.
And that's how it was in Galaxies. If you wanted nothing to do with combat, you could totally never do combat in Galaxies.
That farm will grow ingredients that will become meals crafted by other players that will feed the raiders to make them better at their raid. So everything winds up coming together.
What inspired you while you were making this game?
The inspirations are many. I wanted to pull from the instant fun of old arcade games. I wanted to pull from the hope and optimism that used to exist in sci-fi before it all got grimdark and about ending the world. I wanted to pull from all of the amazing experiences that players have built in past sandbox games and online worlds, and really bring all of that together into one experience. So we even have a wiki page that tracks every single influence and inspiration that we have for the game so that we know where we're pulling what ideas from.
One of the things I've found most inspirational has been all of you, honestly. We have a group of people who have been following Playable Worlds since the very beginning, not even knowing what the game is, just diving through every article, trying to get every clue they can, and seeing how invested you are, how much you already want this, how much you've been asking for this for so long. This has really helped us build it for you.
The thing that really inspired me is the chance to give people a second home. There's a lot of people, myself included, who rely on games and MMOs to be sort of a home away from home, where you can interact with people from all across the world. I met my wife in an MMO, and having the chance to give this to other people is super inspiring.
How realistic is the physics in this game?
As realistic as is also fun. There is a moment of delight in seeing something work the way you would expect it to, in breaking a hole in the dam and watching water rush out. But if we ever have to choose between what is realistic and what is fun,
I wonder if they got this idea from Oxygen Not Included, because No Man's Sky doesn't have that, but Oxygen does.
we're going to choose what is fun.
So the physics of this game, we're going for intuitive over realistic, and it's about as realistic as it needs to be for you to recognize that, hey, this should sort of just happen because it happens in the real world. But that doesn't mean we're doing a hyper-realistic, physics simulation. One of the best examples I have is if you heat up sand, it will turn into glass, because that's just what it does in real life. And it's up to you guys to find out what you can do with that. But it's not something we're going to say like, hey, this is a tutorial quest to turn sand into glass. You're going to have to discover these interactions on your own.
Well, We like to say most alive game ever. We'll see if we live up to it, but that's our target. We want trees that...
You got to remember that the No Man's Sky devs are working on a game called Light No Fire, I think is what it is. And they're also claiming that their game is going to be the most alive game ever made, so...
grow. We want seasons that change. We want you to be snowed in at the tavern. We want the weird alien ice snakes to only come out during the winter. You know, we want to provide that feeling of existing in an alternate reality. You know, that's kind of been the dream, right, of immersive gaming for decades. And we may not get all the way there, but we want to get as close as we can.
What's something different you can do in this game compared to other games?
Our most different thing is our living world and the simulation around it. We can deform our terrain, we can heat it up, we can turn liquids into gas, liquids into solid. These things are going to cause changes over time that no other game can do. You're going to come back to the same place a week later, and it's going to look completely different.
You know, one of my favorite things about this game is that we're making a galaxy with hundreds of planets, each of them different, and each of them that change over time and that players can modify. So I'm really looking forward to bringing back the feeling of exploration when not everything is out there on a wiki. You can't just go look it up and see what you're going to find.
Well,
anymore.
you say that.
So I think the thing that will be most unusual for people who've gotten used to games today is that it's going to be full of surprises.
Something different is the amount of non-traditional professions and how they are still important and useful. There are some other games that have caught up and been doing things like giving you dancing and music options, but a lot of those are just cosmetic. They don't help the rest of the player economy. You don't benefit by being a dancer other than it's fun. And we're building a...
Yeah, so again, in Galaxies, for those who don't know, those professions like dancing and music and all that stuff, like, those were like mandatory professions because you needed them to like permanently heal your character. They would give you buffs and stuff like that. So those professions were like needed.
Game where, no, having entertainers on your world, in your guild, helps the entire guild. It brings everyone closer together and gives everyone bonuses.
What is the new player experience like?
You're an immigrant. You're leaving behind your home world, which has been damaged by climate change, nuclear winter, even global pandemics, for all we know. And you're heading out into the galaxy. So you're starting fresh, right? You are settling the stars. So in the intro experience, you're basically setting forth, getting your introductory set of gear. We apologize, we kind of melted you when you came through the radiation belt, so you're gonna re-customize your appearance. That way we know what you look like. And then we'll equip you with your starting gear and send you through a tutorial experience, sort of an outward bound test of your starting skills. Then we'll let you out into the larger galaxy.
We've talked a lot about how we're gonna have lots of professions and lots of options, but we don't want to overwhelm anyone.
That's what they called it in Star Wars too, was professions. And they did another Q&A on Reddit, and one of the questions I saw, and again, this goes back to Galaxies, one profession that people loved was called creature handler. You can think of it as like a ranger where you have like a pet. And in Galaxies, there was two things. One, you could go out into the world and you could like tame a creature. The other thing you could do, and I think this might have been part of another profession as well, like bioanalysis or something like that, where you could take like DNA from a creature or maybe two creatures and combine them. And so somebody had asked these devs if they were doing something similar, and their answer was yes.
So for new players, there's going to be a sort of smaller starting zone and a smaller list of beginning options for the things that we think will be mostly universal, most fun, most appealing to people. And then as they start to play the game, they can start to branch into some of the more esoteric paths that might require a little more skill or a little more dedication instead of just opening the floodgates and hitting you with everything at once.
What would the player versus player aspect look like in this game?
So PvP is still something we're very much discussing and working on. And the core thing we really want to capture with it is that it's going to be opt-in. If you don't want a PvP, that's fine. But if you do want a more exciting experience, you can go out into the frontier planets and they might just be free for all. You will be told in advance, hey, I'm landing on this place and I might get killed. But if that's what you want, go for it.
How important is teamwork in this game?
There are so many ways. Interaction is what drives this game. This game is about community more than anything else. There are so many options. No single player can do it all. So interactions, there's guilds, there's corporations, there's...
I think that's a good point to talk about. And again, I'm going to keep bringing up Galaxies because this game is like Galaxies 2. In current MMOs, one of the things that especially solo players want to do is they want to be able to do everything in the game 100% by themselves. Games like this and games like Galaxies, you can't. Also, I think it's going to be really interesting. For those who don't know, in Galaxies, you could only create one character per server. So you couldn't do everything yourself. Now in Galaxies, if you unlocked a Jedi, you were given 2 characters per server. One was the Jedi, and then one was the, whatever. But that prevents, people from attempting to like, oh, I'm just going to do every crafting profession and every combat. These games are supposed to be community focused. You have to work together to accomplish things.
There's armies, there's just...
Now, does that mean, let's say you just want to go out, you want to be by yourself and just like kill things? That's fine. You don't have to like be with anybody else if that's what your goal is. But you're still going to have to interact with somebody to get your armor and weapons.
Just groups of friends. There's the people you live with on this planet. Everywhere you go, there should be people, and those connections bring everyone together.
So, one of the things in pursuit of a 5-minute play session, one of the things that we're trying to do is allow people to form groups without all of the paperwork and key exchanges and whatnot. So there's an awful lot of game systems in the game where just being near other players gives you benefits. We call that soft grouping, and we're drawing inspiration from games like Realm of the Mad God and others. So
Realm of the Mad God,
being near others will help. We actually have a profession track specifically for group leaders that we call squad leadership. And that allows people to actually
I think that's what it was called in
being the
Galaxies
good
too, squad
of
leader.
the party.
So we want to make as many things group-friendly as possible. That's not to say you can't play on your own. Of course you can, but things should be better with people. That's something we're hoping we can tie into every aspect of the game. So if you're chopping a tree down, it's faster, it's better with a friend who's doing it with you. If you're trying to build, you can do it together. It's not just one person builds and everyone watches. If you're going out into a combat experience, there are going to be small packs you can take off one by yourself, or larger packs that you might need a friend for.
Can you share any funny stories about things you've come across while making the game?
Yeah, one of the first art assets we had for our VFX was this just like really simple set of squares that are olive and brown in color, and they were just falling. And while we were waiting for more art to come in, we just hooked it up to everything, and then we just had a world full of vomit particles flying everywhere.
There's some people on our team who really have wanted there to be kaiju scale monsters in the game. And frankly, it's really hard. It's not what the game's about, but... So one of the engineers actually sculpted one using the terrain deformation tools. And, they shared screenshots of it from a distance. And have you seen this giant monster in the game? Everybody got excited. Oh, kaiju are in. No, sorry. I'm not going to promise you kaiju.
Did the physics simulation surprise you in any way while you were testing the game?
That's happened a couple times. We've tried to drain a dam and watched the water at the top bubble under as if it were bathtub draining. We've dropped rocks into water and watched it splash. And we didn't think the VFX would cause a splash, but there it was. We've got so many things happening in the physics system that it surprises us all the time. And one of the things I'm most looking forward to is seeing how you surprise us with things we didn't expect.
How do you level up and grow your character in the game?
A lot of our growth is more about unlocking more options and gaining new ways to do things or better ways to do things. Not necessarily just like, oh yes, numbers go up, feels good. We want players who are new to the game and experienced in the game to be able to play together. And we want growth to feel like you're getting more things without it just being, ah yes, my damage is tripled now. Yay.
So we don't traditionally have the same levels as other MMOs. Those are one of the things that get in the way of playing with someone. If I start an MMO now, most of my friends are going to be higher level than me, and we won't be able to play together. But that doesn't mean there's no progression. Your character grows with the skills they use and the professions that you want to specialize in. So there's definitely going to be more ways for you to do things.
Sounds like Galaxies.
But your damage numbers aren't just going to go up, 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 up.
So we're using a skill tree progression system. You choose the base skills that you want to learn. Maybe you want to be an explorer, maybe you want to get good at pistols, whatever it is. You will earn experience for each of those by doing more of it. And that will let you buy new skills in the tree and progress in that particular way to play. And you can learn across all of them if you so choose.
Are there any surprising places that you drew influence from while you were making the game?
There is an incredibly cheesy, bad sci-fi ripoff done by, I forget, Toei maybe, one of the Japanese live-action TV series in the 70s that was called Sankuokai, and it had these cool spider-shaped ships with little legs that opened up and shot at you, and the good guys had a spaceship that was actually a glowing white space galleon, right? Like those kinds of things, right? All of it went into the mix because I want this to be a fantastical, wonderful, a galaxy that just makes you smile, right? I want that level of fun. And so we were pulling just inspirations from unusual places for that.
I got the chance to work on combat as one of the engineers on it, and one of the places I drew inspiration from was MOBA games like League of Legends and Dota, and the way they create a lot of characters from very simple combat rules and code functions. Giving our designers the ability to do that too is one of the things I wanted as a goal.
Yeah, a lot of classic games, and I mean more old arcade games. Mule, Smash TV, when combat was a lot less rigid and complex and complex, it was just like, no, point at things and shoot, and them shooting back and dodge it. Like, it's a lot simpler, but still engaging. I think sometimes we overcomplicate things and we lose something there.
Really enjoyed answering all these questions. Can't wait to answer more. Please join our Discord, join the community. We chat regularly with people there. Wishlist us on Steam, follow us on social media.
Oh, is it on Steam already?
We will be answering more questions like this, and I can't wait to let you actually play Stars Reach, because I really hope you're gonna love it.
Well, cool. Get that fired up here real quick. I'm gonna look here real quick. They do have a Steam page up? Let me see here. Huh, I just searched it. I don't see that. Well, here real quick. Yeah, this is their website. Yeah, I don't see any Steam links or anything here, but yeah, just in general, I'm very much looking forward to that. I saw some people in chat mention Ashes of Creation. I do think here in the next, like, 3-ish years, when Ashes come out, I think Ashes has the potential to be the next, like, really, really big MMO. And Ashes is also taking a lot of ideas from Star Wars Galaxies. Not quite as much as what this game is, but still the ability to, you know, own your own, like, shop or restaurant or whatever, and that sort of thing is also going to be in Ashes. To me, Ashes is going to be a bit more PvP focused with the way that their node system is working and being able to, like, attack, like, an enemy, like, city and burn it down to the ground and all that kind of stuff. And Ashes also has, like, 3 different housing systems the last time I looked, which was a while ago. But, yeah, this game just based on a system standpoint has moved near the top of my list for, like, most anticipated games or most anticipated MMOs. And again, for those who missed the start of the stream, it's being made by, MMO vets. A lot of, some of them worked on Star Wars Galaxies and games of that generation. So yeah, there's a bit more information in some of these, talking about what they're going to be doing, if anybody's interested. I think they kind of went over most of it in the Q&A. Yeah, even right here it says, brought to you by the designer of Ultimate Online and Star Wars Galaxies, as an example. Yeah, one of the things they talk about in here somewhere, because one of the best things about Galaxies and why Galaxies has the best crafting and gathering system ever done is that you would go to, let's say, Naboo in Galaxies, and you'd bring out your survey tool, depending on what kind of like mineral or whatever you were looking for. Maybe you're looking for copper, iron, wind energy, whatever. So let's say you're looking for like copper or something like that. You take your survey tool and you literally, you're on your speeder or you're walking around and you're literally scanning like the entire area, and you'll get like a map readout, and it will like tell you like, oh yeah, there's some copper right here. So you'll find the highest concentration, and you'll take your character and you'll do like a sample of it. You then look in your inventory, and it's like, okay, you just got low-vir copper. Like all the resources got randomly generated names, and all of the resources got randomly generated stats. And so you would then look at your low-vir copper, and you're like, okay, it's got 10 stats, and it's like, oh, this is 100, this is 150, this is 70, this is 90, and you would then take that copper and you'd give that to the crafters. And so let's say you're a weaponsmith like what I was, and you want to make an E11 blaster or something like that. It's like, okay, to make this blaster, I need 5 components. I need the stock, the barrel, the trigger, so forth and so on. So you'd have to make each of those parts up individually, all 5, in order to make your gun. Now, that low-vir copper is one of the ingredients you need to make, let's say, the trigger or the barrel or whatever. But you also need iron, you also need, let's say, 2 or 3 other resources. And as I mentioned, all the stats were random. So when I then took the low-vir copper, the whatever iron, and the whatever wood, let's say, combine those 3 together to make my barrel, the barrel that I just made is unique based on the stats. And so let's say a week from now, I'm like, oh, I'm out of copper. I need to go back to that spot and get some more copper. I would then go back to that spot. I would try and mine some more, and oh, the copper's gone. And that's because the resources on every planet in Galaxies would shift. So that low-vir copper could have been there for 4 hours, 8 hours, or 2 weeks. It's randomized. And so that's why the crafting system was so incredible, is it was a constant search to find the best resources, and that search never ended. So like when there was a hotspot that came up like, oh, Tatooine has some incredible iron right now. Everybody would go there and they'd put down automatic mining machines and they would try and mine as much of it as they possibly could. But again, how long is that node or that resource pool under the planet going to be there? And it's not the entire planet either. If you think about a map of Tatooine, it could be there's a little section up here, there's a little section over here, and there's a tiny little section over here. And so you'd survey, like, again, all the players working together, you'd survey the entire planet, and you'd go like, okay, here's the hot spots, everybody start to mine it. So you'd start mining out this iron with the excellent stats on it. And again, maybe that iron is there for 4 days, a week, 2 hours, you don't know. You check your harvester the next day and you're like, oh, looks like it's not harvesting anymore, must be gone. So this game is going to do something similar, but on a much wider scale. And there was a note in here somewhere about how you could mine a planet completely out of resources. It was under one of these, here somewhere. So that's very exciting to me. But I think from a systems standpoint, I think this game has a lot going for it. Now, I can see some people not being down for the art style. I mean, even when WildStar came out, there were some people who just did not like the art style of WildStar. And to me, it looks like that's kind of what they're going for here. And again, the videos that we just saw are very early. Again, this game's not coming out 3 to 5 years, and so I'm sure the game is going to look better than that. But even with that, you can see what the art style is they're going for. So, yeah, all these models are like very early renders and whatnot. So, but no, I'm excited for this, and it's going to be something that I keep a very close eye on. And we'll see what happens with this. I wonder how early they're gonna bring in players for like alpha testing or whatever they're doing. So yeah, cool stuff. Yeah, for those who are watching on YouTube, I think we'll wrap up the video right there. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.